My challenge was to do a contemporary chic Christmas, and I have to tell you that I think I've semi-accomplished the contemporary part. You have to decide whether it's chic or not, that being a subjective opinion certainly. And for me to look at this situation with contemporaryism is to look at color. And my friends who know that I travel to Asia twice a year to pick out product and develop product for my company, which ultimately ends up here at Mount Eden, all think I should know everything there is to know about color in a given season. So they all say to me, you know, what is the coming color for Christmas this year? And the answer is red and green. Now, when you go home today and someone says to you, what did you learn there today? You say, I learned the coming colors were red and green. And they're going to say, did you ask for your money back? But it's true, isn't it? I mean, it is true, because regardless of what we talk about, red and green is the color of the season, and that isn't going to change very much. One thing I notice that when we do travel in Asia is that sometimes we will go into a showroom and there'll be a Christmas theme based on yellow and teal. And we know that they have lots of European and South American customers, because sometimes that's the colors that they will buy. But I just don't see Americans buying yellow for Christmas quite yet. So what we do is we kind of have tweaked that color situation around so that red becomes purple, red becomes rust and burnt orange, red becomes burgundy, rather than it being just a solid Christmas carnation red. And what happens to green? Green becomes chartreuse, becomes sage green, becomes olive green, becomes different greens, doesn't it? Okay. And that's a way to contemporize that color theme without losing the tradition of it as well. So that's the idea there. And in this particular vignette at this end, you can see that I've used lots and lots of chartreuse. Lots of chartreuse. I love chartreuse. Chartreuse is a great color for year-round because it makes other colors pop. If you know that word pop. At the vignettes that we have similar to these at my place of work, I have painted some of them chartreuse. The whole vignette is chartreuse. And Valentine's Day looks great on it. Mother's Day works great on it. It's just a great color to work with as a background color. Here I've used it in lots of ways for accenting. Also, you will notice that I have also used a lot of glass in this display. Glass is contemporary. It's what we're using today, isn't it, as far as design work is concerned. We're using lots and lots of glass for that very purpose. And so in most of these cases I've done very simple things with glass. I've simply piled some ornaments into the bowl part of the vase and then taken a big ornament like this. In this case all I did, there's no mechanics here, is I pulled the ornament hook off, poked the beautiful beaded and glittered poinsettia down in the hole, and the rest of it's just all glued on. So there's really not much mechanics involved. There's another one up here that's even more exaggerated. Again, no mechanics particularly, just everything is glued together. Or as I like to say, someday soon the whole world will be bonded with hand-melt glue. Right? You know? And for those of us who are still working with a glue gun, show me your scars. Are the new electric candlelight situations, the votives. These, for instance, have an off and on switch. They have a replaceable battery. They will burn 10 hours or more before you have to replace the battery in them. And although you don't get to appreciate much of what they look like with all this light on in here, but they really do create quite a wonderful effect down inside containers. There's actually one in the top of that one and one in the bottom, and in a more dark situation you would see that light flickering and so forth. So in ambient light you can have more fun with it. There are these new wonderful little vine lights which you could put into wedding work, you could put it into a wreath. This is over here, they're glued together, okay? And the way that I do that is that I take bowl tape, you know, this product that we play with all the time, can't live without, this stuff.
Can you move down so we can see too?
Come on down. See, if you don't buy those expensive seats, you have to sit in the back. That's the way it works, yeah. Anyway, bowl tape. So what I do is I take bowl tape and I run a bead around the bottom of this vase. Take the second vase, put a bead of this bowl tape on it. Then I take this pot put it in the pan melt glue, and glue the two bottoms together. So what have I done? I've glued tape to tape. Because if I put pan melt glue on glass, what happens? It falls off. You cannot glue with pan melt glue on glass. It just doesn't work. What is this? This is aisle runner tape. Or what is it really? White duct tape. But we like to call it aisle runner tape. It's sort of like Martha Stewart calling chicken wire poultry mesh, isn't it? Yeah, same idea. Anyway, I take it and I put it on the vase. And in this case, I cut a fairly long strip and I put it on the outside of the vase and roll it over to the inside. So it comes across the top and goes inside. Now why do I put it inside? Well, because if you're sitting on that side of the vase, do you want to look at the back of the tape? But if I put the tape inside, then I can glue a leaf, piece of ribbon, another ornament, whatever, so that when you look through the vase, you don't see the back of the tape. You with me so far? Okay. Then I cut a little piece of styrofoam, and when I say little, I mean little. This is as big a brick as I ever use. And I hot glue, pan melt glue, this piece of foam onto the container. Okay? And then I take this product, which is a candle cup. I cut the flanges off the side. I cut the spike part of it down because I don't need all of that. And then I glue this into there. Glue every time. Pan melt glue in each process, all right? And then I take my long taper candle, like you see there, and that goes in here. Now why do I bother with this mechanics? There are a lot of wonderful, lazy designers, and that's usually me, who will take a candle like that and just sharpen the point, you know, spit on it and put it in there and hope it stays. See the green balls in the vase? They come right through to give the illusion that it's one vase. And I did that by simply putting a piece of tape in here, putting two balls together, and they're glued up inside here, and the one on the top vase is just sitting in there. Okay? But it helps to create that illusion that you're dealing with one vase. This whole project came out of the fact that I had customers, especially men. Men are so remarkably ignorant, that they always have that thing about I have to see through the arrangement. Now here's my point about that. If you go to a party and you sit across the table for a 72-inch round table and you sit across from people, if you can have a decent conversation with those people, you have come to one really poor party. Is that true? Sometimes you don't even want to see those people. But on the other hand, when you have to, this is a great pedestal to build. It's really secure. If you glue these two together, this will fall over, the glass may break, but this bond will not break until you take a screwdriver with it and pry it open, in which you can take the tape off and you haven't ruined the vase. Okay? Real simple mechanics, but it does work really well. The answer to the question is no, I didn't string these. We paid someone in China to do that. If it were up to me, this project never would have happened, or I'd still be doing it. Okay? But I mean, they're wonderful the way they've been strung. It's a 6-foot-long string and those great contemporary color combinations. The project I had the most fun with is making these ridiculously simple things. Okay? And these are lacquered trays, squares and rounds. In fact, my company imports them. And the clue here is, if you're going to glue to these trays, you either need to scratch the surface and make it rough to glue to, or use the tape. Okay, if you don't want to ruin the plates, the dishes, the flat trays here, then put on some tape, or if you don't mind ruining them because we're not going to worry about that, then just scratch it with your designer knife and then glue to it, and then it's fine. There's a little tiny wedge of styrofoam between the top plate and the bottom plate here, and a lot of scratching of surface to make that happen. Okay, see how I put the hanger on the back? The chenille stem, I scratched the surface, but I could have used a piece of tape, and then I glued on the chenille stem, and then I just put a leaf over it to kind of finish it off. Also protects the wall. If I was working in someone's home and I didn't want the wire to scratch the wall, it just protects it. It just looks professional, doesn't it, to do that. I love chenille stems because they're durable, they tend to disappear, and because they're fibrous, which means they hold the glue. Is that not true? So anytime I'm making a bow to put on something, I always use a chenille stem to tie it off with, because then I know I can glue it into something securely. It's the simplicity of it that appeals to me. Also, notice here that I did, with the ribbon that I kind of used, I hung the ribbon on an aluminum wire. Okay, here's the wire in question right here. And it's just hung on a wire, it's just strung down. Very, very important to put the pins in. Otherwise, you end up with a maypole on steroids at the bottom of your thing, because all the ribbon will just uncoil and fall on the floor. So put on pins. This is a great way to display ribbon. It's a great way to sell ribbon if you want to sell it by the yard and that kind of thing. It'd be great if it was next to a project or a Christmas tree that you had used these ribbons on and so forth. It's just a decorative way to display ribbon.